The broadcast ignited without warning. Screens across Earth, markets, homes, war rooms, school halls, glitched into static before resolving into 12 towering silhouettes. The Galactic Council, glowing like carved specters, stared down at humanity as if delivering a verdict to a condemned prisoner. Commander Aria Solace stood in the Geneva strategic bunker, arms folded, jaw locked. Officers around her froze as High Chancellor Vorkuin stepped forward, the hologram casting faint violet light across the bunker's steel floor. His 4 violet eyes, cold and unwavering, fixed on the camera as though piercing through every city on Earth. "Humans," Vorkuin intoned, voice echoing unnaturally. "Your unchecked expansion threatens the equilibrium of our galaxy. Your aggression destabilizes the ancient balance. You will surrender all fleets, cease development of twist technologies, and submit to Council authority." Gasps rippled through the bunker. Vorkuin raised a clawed hand. "Failure to comply will be met with eradication. You have 1 planetary rotation." The transmission ended abruptly. Silence followed, thick, suffocating. Aria inhaled slowly. "Patch me into the emergency channel," she ordered. Before the comm officer could respond, General Kirchner strode forward, his uniform half unbuttoned as if he'd run the whole way there. "Commander," he hissed, "we cannot antagonize the Council. Their fleets outnumber ours 1,000 to 1. Aria met his stare. "You expect us to kneel?" "I expect us to survive." Aria turned away. Kneeling never saved a species. History proved that again and again. The bunker's main screen flickered, splitting into feeds, civilians clustered around public panels, soldiers watching from orbit, miners in the belt staring wide-eyed. Billions were waiting for an answer. "Commander," the comm officer said quietly, "the world is listening." Aria stepped onto the central platform. The overhead lights dimmed. Her reflection shimmered faintly on the polished steel. "This is Commander Aria Solace," she began. "You have heard the Council's ultimatum." Her voice spread to every home, every crowded street, every remote colony outpost. "They call our progress a threat. They call our unity destabilizing. They demand our surrender." She paused to let the weight settle. But humanity did not rise by bowing. We rose by enduring. By standing even when the universe expected us to fall. Behind her, the officers straightened. She could feel their resolve sharpening. "We will not hand over our skies. We will not hand over our minds. We will not hand over our home." The final line rang like a bell. When the feed cut, the bunker erupted with subdued but unmistakable relief. "Commander," Kirchner warned, "you've just declared defiance." "No," Aria said. "I declare that humanity belongs in the stars. Whether the Council accepts that or not is their decision." Before any argument could escalate, a piercing alarm shrieked through the bunker. "Outer soul sensors have a contact," a technician shouted. "Multiple signatures. Council vessels." The holographic table lit up instantly, projecting 3 sharp blue markers sliding into the system. "Inspection fleet," the technician added. 6 hours early. Aria's pacing stopped. "They didn't come to inspect." General Kirchner swallowed hard. "They're here to force compliance." Aria stepped to the table. "Bring the Soul Defense Wing online. Inform Admiral Reyes to intercept." "Commander," the comm officer said, voice wavering, "the fleet is requesting guidance. They're asking if we are engaging." Aria considered it for only a moment. "Hold fire unless fired upon," she said. "We do not start this war. But we will finish it if we must," she thought. The Council ships emerged near Neptune like dark, metallic monoliths. Their hulls were smooth as polished obsidian, marked with faint energy veins. Human interceptors formed a rigid defensive wall, sleek, angular, unmistakably Terran. Admiral Reyes' voice crackled through the bunker speakers. "Commander, they're powering weapons." Kirchner cursed under his breath. "Open a channel," Aria ordered. A visual feed synced. The council commander appeared, an insectoid officer with translucent mandibles and pale, lidless eyes. "This action violates council protocol," Aria said evenly. "Your arrival was scheduled for 6 hours later. State your purpose." "You were given a demand," the alien replied. "You did not accept. Compliance must be enforced." "Enforcement requires authorization," Aria said. "We are the authorization." Without warning, a council cruiser fired a thin beam past the hull of the lead human frigate, a warning shot, but precise enough to be an insult. Human comm channels erupted. Aria leaned forward. "Admiral Reyes. Disable their forward cannon. Do not destroy their ship." "With pleasure," Reyes replied. Human frigates fired in surgical unison, 3 kinetic slugs ripping through the void. The impacts hit at the exact structural weak point, shredding the cannon mount. The cruiser reeled, its weapon array sparking. The council commander screeched, mandibles flaring. "You dare! You aimed at our ships," Aria said coldly. "We responded." The transmission cut. Kirchner stared at her. "There's no turning back now. There wasn't an hour ago." The council fleet retreated a short distance, regrouping. The tension was suffocating, as if Sol itself held its breath. Inside the bunker, analysts worked frantically. Reports came from across Earth, spontaneous protests, military volunteers flooding bases, families gathering in shelters. Aria watched the data cascade across the screen. Humanity had not fractured. It had aligned. "Commander," said Dr. Yana Trell, Earth's chief socio-political advisor, entering the room with urgency. "Public unity is at 97%. I've never seen anything like it." "Fear clarifies," Aria replied. "It also fuels recklessness. Sometimes recklessness is survival." Trell hesitated. "What now?" Aria exhaled, the weight settling fully on her shoulders. She had not chosen this war, but she would not allow Earth to walk into annihilation unprepared. "Now," Aria said, "we warn the galaxy that humanity will not vanish quietly." She turned to the comm officer. "Prepare a universal broadcast. This message goes to every listening outpost in council space." "Ready," the officer replied. Aria stepped forward once more. "This is Commander Aria Solace of Earth. The Council demands our surrender. We decline." She let the silence after that line stretch. It carried more force than any threat. "Humanity stands. And we will stand until our last breath." The galactic transmission system pulsed. Dozens of species received her words. Many dismissed them as bravado. Some trembled. A few listened with growing curiosity. When the signal faded, Aria turned to her officers. "Raise the Sol defense rings. Alert all fleets. We will not be caught unprepared." A low rumble vibrated through the bunker as reactor grids awakened across Earth's orbit. Kirchner exhaled, almost reverently. "War is coming." Aria stared at the hologram of the council ships withdrawing from Neptune. "No," she said. "War is already here." The Conclave Fleet arrived without ceremony. One moment, the outer perimeter was empty, the next, it pulsed with gigantic war signatures, hundreds of alien hulls dropping out of folded spacetime in perfectly precise formation. Their silhouettes blotted out sections of Neptune's reflected glow, turning the region into a grid of shadows and weapon glimmers. Inside the Geneva bunker, a tremor of quiet horror swept through the operations floor. "Reading, 412 capital vessels," the sensor chief reported. His voice wavered, but he kept it controlled. "Conclave standard. Energy profiles confirm assault intent." General Kirchner muttered something that sounded like a prayer. Commander Aria Solace folded her arms over her chest, steadying her breathing. "Bring the Sol defense rings online. Full power. No delays." Massive orbital platforms, stationed in 3 concentric layers around Earth, awakened like titans. Their solar arrays unfurled, shimmering under intense thermal bloom. Fusion reactors hummed. twist drive reactors lit in spiraling blue arcs. Across the bunker, every display shifted to battle readiness. Admiral Reyes appeared on the central comm holo, visor lifted, expression severe. "Commander, all fleet groups are in formation. We're waiting on your word." Aria studied the tactical map. The Conclave Fleet advanced slowly, deliberately, as though savoring its approach. It reminded her of a predator circling prey to break its spirit before the strike. She turned to Reyes. "We hold the perimeter. No offensive pushes until I authorize it. If they want this system, they will pay for every kilometer of it." "Acknowledged," Reyes replied. The channel closed. Minutes stretched like wire. The Conclave Fleet anchored itself between Neptune and Uranus, silently broadcasting encrypted signals among its ships. No demands. No negotiations. Just quiet, calculated positioning. On one screen, civilians evacuated from orbital facilities. On another, defense pilots strapped into craft designed to outmaneuver opponents by bending microgravity fields. The entire Sol system thrummed with preparation. Aria's second-in-command, Captain Rowan Hale, stepped to her side. "We're ready," he said. "But the numbers aren't in our favor." "They never were," Aria answered. Rowan exhaled, then asked the question he'd been holding back. "What if they breach the rings?" "Then we adapt. We don't collapse." Aria kept her gaze on the map. Humanity didn't claw its way to this century because we had advantages. We survived because we refused to disappear. Before Rowan could reply, the comm pinged, urgent tone. "Commander," Reyes said, voice clipped, "the Conclave is dispatching a vanguard. 30 ships moving at combat velocity." Aria's pulse steadied. "Let them come." The first strike came swift and brutal. Conclave frigates surged forward, firing beams so concentrated they sliced through particles like heated wire. Energy bolts crashed against the outer ring shields, sending ripples through the defensive lattice. The entire planet felt the impact, power grids flickered, tremors echoed underground, and satellites wobbled in orbit. "Shields holding at 91%, a technician called out. Aria watched the battle unfold. Human fighters darted between the rings like sparks, using grav field generators to twist their trajectories unpredictably. Conclave vessels fired suppressive arcs, but their calculations lagged behind the erratic human patterns. A squadron leader's voice burst through the channel, engaging. Switching to scatter maneuver, marking targets now. Aria recognized the tone, not fear, not bravado, but focus sharpened by the weight of home. Human ships weaved among beam fire, releasing magnetized slugs that curved mid-flight using micro-twist fields. The slugs shattered hull plating across 2 enemy frigates, sending debris spiraling. The bunker erupted with restrained cheers. Rowan turned to Aria. "They're learning we aren't flinching." "They'll escalate," Aria replied. And they did. A Conclave dreadnought moved forward, twice the size of any human vessel, its hull covered in shifting armor plates. "Targeting central ring," a technician warned. On cue, the dreadnought's core weapon ignited. A massive column of energy blasted toward the ring like an angry star. Aria knew the rings had limits. This would push them. "Twist shield activation," she ordered. Across the orbit, reactors spun into overdrive. The space around the ring warped in a controlled, shimmering arc. The dreadnought's beam bent, skimming off the curvature of space itself before dispersing into fragmented bursts. The bunker vibrated with the recoil, but the shield held. Rowan blinked, stunned. "It worked." "Of course it worked," Aria said, though her clenched fists revealed tension. The Conclave dreadnought recoiled, its crew likely scrambling to understand why the laws of physics had betrayed them. The shift in momentum spread through the battlefield. Conclave formations faltered, adjusting positions to avoid the unpredictable effect of the twist shield. Reyes seized the moment. "Commander, requesting permission for counteroffensive. This is our opening." Aria analyzed the dreadnought's weakened flank. "Strike groups Alpha through Delta, advance. Don't overextend." Hit fast, fall back. The order transmitted. Human cruisers surged forward, engines glowing. They unleashed a barrage of kinetic and twist-amplified rounds that tore through the dreadnought's maneuvering thrusters. The massive vessel lurched, drifting helplessly. Inside the Conclave flagship, Vorquin undoubtedly watched the feed with rising fury. Aria found the thought oddly satisfying. Amid the chaos, Aria's private console blinked, encrypted direct message. Council channel. Commander Solace, Vorquin's voice rasped, sharp as broken stone, withdraw your forces. You cannot win. Aria didn't turn away from the battle map. You are attacking our home. We will defend it. You invite extinction. You provoked resistance. Vorquin paused. When he responded, his tone chilled. I admire your stubbornness. But defiance does not alter mathematics. Aria replied calmly, neither does arrogance. She ended the transmission. Hours passed. The battle raged. Human losses mounted, but the line held. Every ship that fell dragged a Conclave vessel with it. Every ring section damaged was repaired with desperate speed by automated drones. Still, Aria could feel the strain. The Conclave Fleet hadn't fully committed yet. When it did, Sol would ignite in full fury. Rowan approached again. Commander, the fleet needs inspiration. Morale is steady, but the intensity is wearing them down. Aria nodded. She activated the fleet-wide channel. This is Aria Solace. Listen carefully, she said, tone firm but grounded. You've seen their scale. You've felt their fire. And you're still here. That alone changes the course of this war. A hush filled the channel. They think humanity is fragile. They think we crack under pressure. But you, every one of you, are proving them wrong. Hold your ground. Protect the line. Protect our sky. She paused, then added, softer but resolute. Earth stands because you stand. The calm quieted. Then an answering wave of affirmations rolled through, pilots, captains, gunners, engineers. Not shouting. Not chanting. Just steady, unshakable resolve. The kind that couldn't be forced. Only earned. As the Conclave regrouped, preparing for a larger assault, Aria turned to Rowan. They're not retreating, she said. No, Rowan agreed. But neither are we. Aria studied the tactical map one last time before the next storm hit. The shadow of the Conclave loomed vast. But humanity burned brighter. The Conclave's main armada emerged from folded space like a tidal force, sleek battleships, fortress-class carriers, and weapon platforms the size of small moons. The sensor boards in the Geneva bunker lit up in a flood of alarms. Captain Rowan Hale stared at the escalating data stream. They brought everything. Commander Aria Solace didn't flinch. Good, she said. They've finally stopped pretending. Around her, the bunker stiffened into focused urgency. Analysts recalibrated tracking arrays. Strategists pushed data updates across the holotable. No panic, just the silent realization that humanity now faced the final measure of its resolve. Admiral Reyes, Aria called through the command line. His voice answered immediately. All fleets are braced. We're ready. Hold formation, she said. Let them commit first. The Conclave Armada advanced slowly, an overwhelming crescent of alien steel. But something shifted. A cluster of ships, 50 or so, broke formation, turning away from the main body. Rowan frowned. Are they repositioning? No, Aria murmured. They're defecting. Seconds later, the incoming message confirmed it. A grainy feed appeared, an avian council representative with dark, glassy eyes and trembling wing feathers. This is Minister Eshel of the Valari, the alien said. We refuse to slaughter a species defending its home. We will not fire. The line closed immediately, leaving only stunned silence. Kirchner leaned forward. That's going to enrage the Chancellor. Aria nodded. Broadcast it system-wide. Let every ship see it. The message rippled through both fleets. Confusion cracked through conclave chatter. Some captains hesitated. Others questioned orders. And on the flagship, far beyond the battle lines, Vorkuin surely felt his authority slipping. The conclave's response came moments later, violent and decisive. A massive red beam lanced out, striking the defecting Valari cruiser. The blast tore the vessel open in a single detonation. Rowan's jaw tightened. They destroyed their own allies. Aria steadied her breath. Show the galaxy what they did. Within seconds, the brutal execution streamed across Council frequencies. The reaction was immediate. Council captains shouted in protest, some refusing commands, others demanding explanations. Cohesion fractured. The Conclave Armada surged regardless. Fury replaced strategy. Commander, Aria said, they're accelerating weapons for full strike. Aria glanced at the map. All units, prepare for gravitational shift coordinates. They're coming in too fast. The Sol defense rings whined as twist field generators primed. Every starship in the human fleet adjusted into tight, precise formation. Rowan whispered, this will be the hardest wave yet. Aria answered, then we match it. The first volley arrived like a storm. Conclave capital ships unleashed barges of superheated plasma and gravity lance beams. Human shields vibrated under the pressure. One section of the outer ring buckled, sending debris spinning. Shield break on Vector 7, a tech shouted. Divert power, Aria ordered. Keep the line intact. Human interceptors launched counterbursts, slicing through incoming fire. Human cruisers executed near-impossible evasions using micro-twist engines, slipping through attack patterns no other species would dare attempt. Then came the inevitable push. A Conclave Titan-class carrier broke ahead of the main formation, firing gravitic warheads meant to implode the central ring. Aria didn't hesitate. Twist shield, layered configuration. Redirect the warheads. The air trembled as the rings pulsed. Space folded sharply, and the warheads veered wide, detonating into the void like stranded suns. Rowan stared in a mix of awe and exhaustion. How long can the rings hold that output? As long as needed, Aria said. Or until we fall. The Conclave adjusted tactics, pressing in tight. Their ships wove a net of fire designed to choke the rings and isolate human vessels. Reyes transmitted urgently, they're forcing us into a compressed zone. If we stay here, we're boxed. Aria nodded. Then we break the box. The plan formed in her mind with ruthless clarity, a maneuver no strategist had risked, but exactly the kind of audacity humanity could pull off. Prepare for the Sol Gambit, she said. Rowan shot her a look. Commander, that maneuver destabilizes jump vectors. If it misaligns. It won't, Aria cut in. Lock the fleet to the sun's gravitational lens. Twist drives at phase sync. Rowan gave a sharp nod, trusting her. Across Sol, reactors flared. Human ships tightened into unified arcs, aligning their drives with the sun's intense curvature. Conclave sensors detected the shift but couldn't decipher the intent. Rhea's voice returned, bracing. All units ready. Aria raised her chin. Execute. The human fleet vanished in a flash of bent spacetime. Conclave ships overshot, firing blindly into empty space. Milliseconds later, the entire human armada snapped back into existence behind the Conclave formation, perfectly positioned. Rowan grinned with breathless disbelief. You turn the sun into a slingshot. We turn their certainty into a blind spot, Aria replied. The humans unleashed everything, kinetic storms, twist-guided projectiles, charged beams. Conclave ships shattered in rapid succession. Their formation collapsed into disarray. But one vessel remained unshaken, the flagship Korvac, a monolithic war construct with impenetrable armor and immense command arrays. Vorkuin's voice sliced through open channels. Solace. This ends now. Aria responded calmly, yes. It does. She boarded a strike transport with Rowan and an elite squad. The mission was reckless, but necessary. If Vorkun fell, the Armada's cohesion would crumble for good. Inside the transport, engines roared as they sprinted through the chaotic battle toward the flagship. Enemy fire grazed their shields. Fighters weaved around them, buying precious seconds. Docking clamps deployed, Rowan said. We're latched. The hull rang as the transport sealed to the flagship's breach point. The doors blew open. They entered a corridor of dark metal and shifting luminescent lines. Conclave guards rushed forward. Aria's squad moved with clean precision, quick bursts, swift maneuvers, no hesitation. The path to the command core cleared under coordinated fire. Rowan pointed. Bridge is ahead. They breached the final door. Inside the command chamber, High Chancellor Vorkun stood alone. His four eyes gleamed with controlled rage. Energy fields surrounded him like flickering armor. You defy inevitability, he snarled. Aria stepped forward, rifle lowered. You slaughter anyone who refuses your shape of order. You are a danger to every species, Vorkun hissed. Your kind grows too fast. Reaches too far. Burns too fiercely. That's not danger, Aria said quietly. That's potential. Vorkun activated a wrist blade that crackled with energy. You doom your world for pride. Aria drew her sidearm. I defend it for the same reason. The duel erupted. Vorkun charged with terrifying speed. Aria rolled aside, firing controlled shots. The Chancellor deflected them with shimmering fields. He slashed again, Rowan intercepted, staggering back, armor sparking. Aria pressed forward. She aimed for his joints, forcing him to shift his stance. He lunged, but she twisted the momentum, redirecting his strike into the console. The energy blade sputtered. She fired a single shot into the control node embedded in his chest. Vorkun collapsed to one knee, clutching the failing device. You cannot change the galaxy. Aria met his gaze. We already have. She opened her comm, broadcasting the Chancellor's final moments. His tyranny, his orders, his executions, all exposed. Across the battlefield, Conclave ships halted fire. Confusion spread. Commands contradicted. Authority crumbled. The flagship went silent. Hours later, the Conclave Fleet retreated beyond the system. Some fled, others powered down in surrender. The battlefield quieted, a universe catching its breath. Aria stood on the observation deck of the Sol defense ring, watching the sun cast gentle light across the battered but undefeated human fleet. Rowan joined her, arm bandaged. The galaxy saw everything. And it will remember, Aria said. What now? Aria let the quiet stretch. For the first time since the ultimatum, she allowed herself to breathe fully. Now, she said softly, we build a future that no one can take from us. Earth had not survived by kneeling. It had survived by rising. And the galaxy, shaken to its core, finally understood the meaning of human defiance. The battle's ashes still drifted across Sol's outer orbit when the Council channels finally fell silent. What remained of the Conclave Armada scattered in disarray, some fleeing toward distant stars, others powering down their weapons as a gesture of compliance. Yet even in the aftermath, the air inside the Geneva bunker felt taut, as though the walls themselves were waiting for someone to declare the storm truly over. Commander Aria Solace stood before the main display, reviewing ship manifests scrolling across the screen. Losses, survivors, damaged stations, every line felt heavier than the last. Captain Rowan Hale approached quietly. His uniform bore fresh patches from field repairs, the bandage on his arm stark against dark fabric. Docking authorities want to begin retrieval of escape pods from the outskirts, he said. Some carry Council crew. Some may carry civilians. Begin recovery, Aria replied. Life is life. We don't leave them drifting. Rowan nodded but studied her cautiously. You haven't rested. Later, she answered. You've said later for 30 hours. Aria didn't respond. She moved to the table where holoconstructs mapped the entire system. Ships blinked as blue or amber lights, operational or damaged. The human fleet looked battered but standing, the rings glowing with minimal power after the final push. "We held," Rowan said softly. Aria exhaled. "At a cost." He didn't argue. Everyone felt the cost pressing down on them. A priority signal blinked. Aria opened the channel. Admiral Reyes appeared, grime streaked across his cheek, one side of his armor scorched. "Commander, we've secured the enemy flagship. Teams are sweeping the lower decks. Any resistance?" "None." Whatever chain of command they had collapsed with Vorkuin. Aria absorbed that with a quiet nod. "Send me a full structural download. We need every detail, schematics, stored communications, anything that reveals Council directives." "One more thing," Reyes said. "Some Conclave officers are requesting asylum. They claim they opposed Vorkuin but were silenced." Rowan frowned. "Could be a trap. Could be genuine," Aria said. "We'll evaluate each individually. Humanity doesn't win by imitating the worst of our enemies." Reyes acknowledged the order. When the channel closed, Rowan leaned closer. "You're aware word of this will spread quickly." "Let it," Aria said. "If the galaxy sees compassion from the side that supposedly threatened it, maybe our next war won't happen. Or maybe it invites manipulation," Rowan countered. Aria gave him a faint, tired smile. "Survival doesn't mean losing ourselves." A soft beep chimed from the bunker's upper console, an incoming galactic broadcast. The screen lit with fractured council chambers. Delegates shouted, feathers, scales, and tendrils agitated in equal measure. Some demanded emergency elections. Others called for immediate ceasefires. A small but bold group proclaimed the council dissolved entirely. One representative, a spined reptilian elder, slammed a staff down. "Our chancellor committed treason against the principles of cooperation. His actions cannot define us." Another, a glowing cephalopod species, floated forward. "Then who defines us now? Humanity has proven capable of matching the Conclave. Do we oppose them? Or join them?" Aria watched in silence as the chamber spiraled into debate. For the first time since humanity entered the interstellar stage, the Council wasn't dictating terms, they were scrambling to survive their own fracture. Rowan folded his arms. "They're panicking. They're realizing the galaxy is larger than their hierarchy," Aria said. "And what role do we play?" "That," she replied, "is what we need to decide." She left the bunker to walk one of the quiet corridors that overlooked Earth's horizon. Night blanketed half the planet, the other half lit with clusters of terrestrial lights. In the distance, tiny sparks marked the paths of human ships returning from battle. Aria pressed her hand to the reinforced glass. "We've entered a future we didn't plan for," she murmured. A voice spoke from the shadows behind her. "You sound like someone standing on the edge of a new world." She turned to see Dr. Yana Trell, her expression a mixture of awe and exhaustion. Aria motioned her closer. "What's the status?" Aria asked. Trell held a datapad to her chest. "Human unity is holding, but uncertainty is growing. People want reassurance. And direction." Aria's shoulders tensed. "Reassurance I can give. Direction," she paused. "That's more complicated." Trell approached the window beside her. "You don't have to shape everything alone. Delegates from the Belt, Mars, and Titan are ready to form a unified strategic council. They want you at the head." Aria stared at her. "I'm a soldier. Not a politician." "Exactly why they trust you," Trell replied. "Because you don't want power. That alone sets you apart." Aria looked back at Earth. Clouds drifted over continents like slow-moving brushstrokes. Below those clouds were billions of lives waiting for decisions that would define their species for generations. "What do you want me to say?" Aria asked. "That you'll guide them," Trell said gently. At least until the galaxy stabilizes. Aria didn't answer immediately. She spoke at last, "I'll address the world." Later, the bunker lights dimmed as global broadcasting systems synchronized. Aria stood at the podium, not in battle armor, not in a formal uniform, but in a simple black command jacket. She wanted no symbols. No embellishments. Just truth. When the transmission went live, she spoke clearly. "People of Earth. People of Soul." The world listened. "The battle is over, but the future is unwritten. You proved today that we are more than a species defending territory, we're a civilization capable of endurance, cooperation, and extraordinary resolve." She paused, letting the weight settle. "The galaxy has seen our strength. Now it must see our character." Aria continued, voice steady. "We will protect our borders. We will pursue diplomacy over domination. We will help rebuild those who suffered under the Conclave's oppression. And we will not isolate ourselves behind fear." Every screen on Earth reflected her expression, serious but hopeful. "We move forward not as conquerors," she said, "but as equals ready to stand with any who uphold freedom." She ended the broadcast simply. "We survived because we stood together. We will thrive for the same reason." The transmission faded. Rowan approached from behind. "They'll follow you." "They'll follow hope," Aria corrected. "I'm just the voice they needed in the moment." Rowan raised a brow. "In the galaxy? What of them?" Aria glanced at the tactical display of Conclave space, now littered with signals of unrest, reform, or silence. "They'll come to us soon enough. With questions. With fear. Maybe with opportunity. And if they bring hostility?" Aria looked out across the recovering fleet, the quiet rings, the star that had slung them into victory. "Then," she said softly, "they'll find we haven't forgotten how to stand."